I think they had.
Yeah,
I think
we
they
did
used
it
the
exactly.
plastic
Yeah,
ones.
yeah. So it's not,
Yeah,
it's not those ones. It's actual, like, if you actually took the belt and
metal.
did wrestling style and like try to smoke someone with it, you'd probably do a little bit of damage to them.
All right, welcome back to the Underrated Podcast, where we talk about sports, rant about stuff that we think should be ranted about. For ranting, check out Recapped. Our next episode is on Montreal, where I practically blow my brains out. And we also now have T-shirts. I brought mine because, well, I can.
I said one in a previous episode,
And now,
and then we just kind of flip-flopped. Like, he remembered, and then I forgot, and then it's,
yeah,
that's going to be an ongoing thing.
yeah, our memory is just there. But moving on, our very special guest has been a content producer for TSN for around 5 years, has worked for companies like Pros Give Back, Fantasy Network, VEG Productions, I don't know how to say that, and the Fight Network. And he also made his Bar Down quiz debut in the NHL Jersey quiz, or I spent about an hour combing through quizzes, and that's the one that I first found you in. And Christian, how you doing?
I'm good, guys. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on here.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. This is now
yeah, I'm
fourth
not
Bar
bad.
Down member, which is pretty cool. It's
Sweet,
like an ongoing thing. It's like a trend.
Yeah,
You guys had
we're slowly making our way through the whole Bar Down crew.
That's sweet, though. Now you listed off a lot of things there. Some things that I even forgot about. I don't know. You guys did some deep dive in there. I like that.
We're bringing you back, not in a year, and then we're bringing you back into like your early career.
Exactly.
Yeah, for real.
Exactly.
So what we said before is like the Bar Down quizzes, and what probably our listeners and our viewers will know you from is the Bar Down quizzes, seeing you amongst all the other ones talking about NHL jerseys and whatever the other ones were. But how did you apply, or how did you get your job for TSN?
So basically I went to school. I went to school for broadcast journalism, Mohawk College, like right out of high school. And it was tough getting a job right out of high school. Well, especially because it was only a 2-year program. So that's when I started Pros Give Back, which you guys mentioned. And then after a few years of doing that, I decided to go back to school, and I went to the College of Sports Media. And the first year going into, they don't usually give first-year students internships, but they had a few leftover internships for the second years. So they asked who wanted one. And I figured I'll just throw my hand up. Maybe I'll get picked, maybe not. And they decided who would get picked. And I ended up getting picked for a TSN one. And originally it was supposed to be part-time Bar Down and part-time writing for the tsn.ca webpage. And just the way we were separated, I started off with Bar Down and ended up just sticking with Bar Down and never even moved over to the .ca side. I just stayed with them for my internship. Then I went back to school to finish off the second year. And then out of school, I ended up getting an internship with Fight Network, and then reached out again to the guys who were at Bar Down. Daniel Bruno, who was one of the original guys, he's no longer working there, but he was one of the very first guys at Bar Down who I reached out to after I was done school, said, hey, if you guys need any writers or anything, let me know. And he was like, we were actually thinking of you. Come on in. Dave wants to talk to you. And from there on, it was basically, when can you start type of thing. And I was like not overwhelmed. I was like so stoked. I was so happy because like just thinking like working for TSN. When I first went to school, a job like Bar Down wasn't even a thing. So then going to school the second time around, seeing how the industry had changed and getting a job at Bar Down and TSN and doing the whole social side of things, that was like that was super cool because it was like the whole new way of media. So yeah, it was just through putting up my hand basically in class and working. It was based off like grades too. It wasn't just like, oh, you can go. They did it based off selection of who actually like put in the work the first year and who was legit for internships. And yeah, luckily I ended up, I guess, vibing with some of the guys that worked there. DZ was one of them too. And Danny also, he's still part of our crew, like the social crew, but he's primarily like social.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't he the Jay and Dan social guy now? Yeah.
So he's like their full-time social guy, but it was him, Daniel, Bruno, and DZ were the original 3 Bar Down guys when I interned with them.
Wasn't Daniel Bruno one of the guys in the Stanley Cup video, like in the Stanley Cup video, who went over to work for Zach Hyman, or was that a different guy?
See, I know we've done a bunch of stuff. I know we did a lot more of the production side of things after Bruno had left. We weren't so much on the YouTube side of things. But I know that he has appeared on like some of the, we did one of the Bar Down lives he was on when DZ did one of the whole like original crew guys. So Bruno was on that. But I know in the past he has been part of some videos, or you'll see him in backgrounds of videos and stuff like that. It wasn't as much of the personality side of things that we do now. He kind of left a bit before that.
And
okay.
the 2 people you mentioned, actually, Dave and DZ, we've actually both of them have joined us on this show, which is pretty cool. But I want to mention that you went to Mohawk College, and I've actually never heard of that before.
Honestly,
which is kind of cool.
Sorry, continue.
It's an interesting name. But from high school going into to Mohawk College, was like going into sports media and like all the kind of stuff involving TSN always been a dream of yours, or is it something that came up like grade 11 or 12?
Honestly, so yeah, Mohawk College, when I applied to Mohawk College, I had never even heard of it either. It was basically, you have the 5 schools that you can apply to if you want to, so I just threw them on there, whoever had a broadcast journalism program of some sort. I've always loved sports growing up. It got to a point when I hit maybe like grade 9, 10, I kind of lost a little bit of that passion for the sports, just because dealing with like an NHL lockout and like just focusing more. I was in a band at the time too, and just like going to shows and seeing how that atmosphere was, that kind of like changed my perspective. But then in, I think it was grade 11 or grade 12, it was a sports lit class, and it was one of the best classes I've ever taken in my life. It was basically just like watch sports movies, and one of the assignments was literally just like choose any sport you want and make an all-time starting roster for that sport and say why you chose those players. And I'm like, how is this even a class? And that's when I realized that could be an actual job of some sort of like sports writing and stuff. So when I applied to Mohawk College, well, I applied to 5 schools. Mohawk College was the first one basically that said like, yeah, we'll give you early acceptance, come on in. Like, I didn't even know what the school looked like. I'd never even basically been to Hamilton like twice for my brother's football games at that point. And so I thought that like it was just kind of cool for a school in general, just anyone in general, just to be like, hey, like, we want you, come. You get early acceptance, where other people were like, you'll put on the waiting list here. You haven't heard back from this school yet. So I was like, I'll go to Mohawk. Plus, it's pretty close to Mississauga, where I grew up. And then when we got there wasn't even that much sports. There wasn't even a real sports like lit program like in as a part of it. All of it was like political journalism and media and just like news and stuff like that. But we had a bunch of people in our class that like basically asked our teacher to add on some sort of sports writing program. So we did, which was awesome. And then I got a job at Mohawk writing for the school paper there and doing a radio show every week on like Thursdays, I think it was. And one of the jobs that I got to do at Mohawk was cover the Hamilton Bulldog, be like their beat writer for our school paper. And like PK Subban was on the team at the time. They were a really good team. They were so stacked. Like, I know Pacioretty even got sent down at one point that year. They had like really big names, and they were just killing the league that year. So that was like a really eye-opening thing that this could be something. Then I realized though, like right after coming out of high school and being that young, you're not like there are people that can get a beat reporting job, but a lot of his experience they're looking for. So it's not something you're typically thrown right into. And so just seeing how the way everything has moved around, like that's when, as I said, like after that one class, sports lit is when I realized this could be a job. And then doing it at Mohawk is when I realized like, yeah, this is something really cool. But then it's just kind of like, it's almost like the mindset of like how athletes have to like evolve to the way the games are changing over the years. If they still want to be like dominant and relevant, you kind of just have to change with media. And that's when I realized like going the social route would be different. Because even when I was at Mohawk, they didn't even encourage us to like sign up for Twitter or anything. They literally said like, you can get it, but it might die off in a few years. And now it's like the main place for everything, really.
And now it's like the main hockey news hub kind of now.
Yeah, exactly. I hope I answered your question. I know I ranted a little bit there, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no, it's fine.
it was just kind of
what this
like
pod's
connecting the
about.
dots.
Yeah,
But you
that's what
mentioned
this is
that,
about.
going into high school and getting those classes is what kind of sparked your more love for sports. So for kids our age, like I know Matthew and I are both taking sports classes next year in grade 11, if that ever happens. But is that a good
Yeah.
route for kids that want to get into sports, like taking sports classes in high school, just that kind of stuff? Would that be a good idea for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, all the practice, all the exposure, the better, because there's things you're going to learn every step of the way. Like even going in from Mohawk, having taken 2 years already of a program, and then going to CSM, I still learned so much more. So all the exposure, all the time, all the practice is really what pays off. Like it does get noticed. There's times when you think it won't get noticed, but doing all those little steps add up to it and open your eyes to other things, and it's always good to keep learning. There's never any harm in learning more and educating yourself more in everything that you want to be part of and learn about, because no one's ever gonna know everything. Even if you're always gonna meet guys even in this industry that come off as if they think they know everything, and that'll be a big downfall too. Like everyone's always learning. There's no person that's capped off and says I know it all, because there's something new every day. And yeah, taking those classes and volunteering for things. I know internships might not be a thing yet for you guys, but when they come up, I know especially now too, a lot of people are starting to pay for internships, which is really good. But yeah, anything to do with teams and being involved in things. And you never know who you might meet through these things too, and what might come of it too. So yeah, absolutely take the classes, do what you want to do, put in time, and don't think that it has to be necessarily you have to watch every game and watch all that stuff, because you can learn. My dad told me when I was younger that you can learn the same thing from a box score and a write up the next day from watching the game, other than watching the actual highlights and seeing actual goals someone might be talking about, say, on Twitter nowadays. This is obviously when I was younger, but it's true. Like just reading and learning and doing all that stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be watching games, but just even documentaries, stuff like that, movies, just the whole history of how everything has evolved and stuff like that too. Absolutely take the classes, basically, is my answer on that one.
And moving into now, you're involved with TSN, involved a lot with TSN. People have seen you on the quizzes, but you're more into like social media and like doing a lot of the content production. So what type of content, for people that don't know what you do, is what you actually, like, your actual job at TSN? Like what content do you produce, at least?
So I know, like Julia mentioned when she was on, how like we do everything in terms of like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. So my main thing too, I love being in the quizzes, but based on like shooting times and stuff like that, I'm primarily the night, Monday to Friday. I'm the main guy that's there all night type of thing, from like 6 to the end of the night, end of sports basically. So we're responsible for keeping an eye on everything that's happening. It's obviously a lot slowed down right now with nothing happening, but when sports are going on, we have to be aware of everything that's happening in every sport, every live event, every news type of thing that's breaking. So basically, like a lot of not the .ca stuff, but the BARDOWN.com stuff. A lot of the articles at night, for instance, me and whoever I'm working with, we're responsible for a lot of that. The tweets, Instagram, basically with the night turnover of content of what's being produced. But yeah, just like I love being in the quizzes, though. The hockey team too. I'm on another team that I've grown up with guys playing with. So that team started like 5 years before I even started working at Bardown, and just because of scheduling, that's why I'm not in as many of those ones too. And I usually play more of the summer league with them, but now with everything going on there's not much of that. So yeah, we're basically more of the web stuff and like YouTube content and all the other stuff that basically isn't the Bardown quizzes, and like Corwin's videos and Jesse's videos, and then everything at night. basically throughout the week is what we're responsible for, our side of the behind the scenes guys.
And then there's obviously a lot of stuff going on with the pandemic currently. Everybody's not in offices as much. So has working at home or not being in office too much changed anything at all?
Honestly, I like working from home compared to going to the office. As much as I miss seeing everyone and being around people, the commute, I live so far away from where TSN is actually located in Scarborough, so getting to work, I always have to leave like 2 hours in advance type of thing. So that's not fun. And just being at home and being around like family and stuff a lot more, because you don't get to really see anyone throughout the week, and you only have your weekends to really get everything going and see people, because you're just running errands during the week, Monday to Friday, like during the day. So I definitely like working from home a lot better than going in. Although if it comes to obviously like shooting quizzes and stuff, it's definitely a lot easier for all there. I know the guys have been, and Emily too, have been doing like the Zoom, and Marissa as well, been doing it all over Zoom and stuff like that. So that's really, really tough as well. It makes it a lot, I guess, more difficult for them to actually get it all going. And being in person too, it's obviously a lot easier as well. But yeah, I think I definitely prefer the working from home aspect. Although if there's a bunch of games going on at once, it's definitely a lot better being there, because they have a system where we're able to watch up to like 8 screens at once. If we have the program, you can just choose the games you want to watch. So you're able to keep track of everything. So that's nice. But in terms of just paying attention to news and everything and getting work done, I prefer working from home, definitely, because no commute, and it's hard to turn off sometimes working home when you're just there and everything's just all in the same spot. But yeah, no commute is definitely something I will gladly never have to do. If I don't have to do it again, cool.
All right. So, of course, you were talking about the quizzes and the behind the scenes of all that, how it's harder. But what is it like behind the scenes of the quizzes of just someone sitting in front of like a wall mural type thing?
Sorry, what was that last
So
part?
what is it like kind of being behind the scenes of the quizzes without this whole pandemic thing being in the way?
It's a tough question.
I don't know. Like, it's definitely draining, because it's gone from basically just the whole time being home. It's about writing about COVID-19, and then now switched over to the protests going on and what players are saying. And I don't have any problem writing about any of this stuff, because obviously we got to spread the awareness of the corona safety and everything, staying inside, stuff like that, and also giving these people, the athletes and everyone else around them, and the people speaking, like the front office and staff members and stuff, a place to express themselves and give their voice a platform. Because I'm all for supporting all that. So, but it's just been draining in terms of going from what we usually write about in terms of bar down and like the fun creative stuff, to switching over to the more serious side of things day after day. I think that's been a bit more draining in terms of, on the mind, in terms of being behind the scenes working from home, especially too in like a lot of the content that's recently been put out is like Jesse doing a lot of stuff on his own in terms of like TikTok and stuff like that, or Corwin streaming like a madman for
32
multiple hours. Like,
oh my god!
I wanted to say 2 days, but that's technically incorrect. But honestly, for someone to do that, might as well be two full days, because like, oh my god, like I see it as 48 hours in my head. But
I caught a bit of it, and it's just like I watched it. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, like I was watching them while I was working like that night. And it was a Friday night going into the Saturday. I was working, and so I was like keeping them company. And then I woke up and then went back on, and a bunch of guys were keeping them company there. And like Marissa and Pigs, I know, chimed in. A bunch of people were just talking to him, and a lot of people in general were just watching throughout the stream, which was so cool to see, like all that support for him. So yeah, I know a lot of the content has been a lot of the guys working on their own, other than the actual quiz itself. But from my aspect, like my side of things, all the stuff that we've turned our focus over to has been, it's, as I said, it's been a little mentally draining, but it's all been for a good reason. So, and I'm just happy to be working too, because a lot of people in general in the industry didn't basically have to keep their job when all this happened. So it is what it is, I guess.
And now, of course, going into Bar Down, this is going to be like a more like a fun, like light spirited question, just to kind of make something interesting. How heavy is the new belt they introduced for Bar Down? Because you can't really feel weight virtually.
The Bar Down belt.
Yeah, that Bar Down belt, that was cool.
Well, the one time I actually remember holding it when I won was like, feels like years ago at this point, but it's heavier than it looks. Like it's definitely not like, I don't think it'd be as heavy as an actual like UFC or WWE belt, but it's not it's not a knockoff like plastic one. It's definitely got some lift to it.
Got some weight to it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not like the plastic ones. I know I had them when I was younger, like the plastic wrestling belt kids can have. It's not.
They used those in seasons 1 and 2, I think. I think
we
did
exactly. Yeah, ones. Yeah. So it's not. Yeah. It's not those ones. It's actual, like, if you actually took the belt and did wrestling style and like try to smoke someone with it, you'd probably do a little bit of damage to them.
And now moving into kind of sports, we talked before we started airing, and Matthew, you obviously like Matthew's jersey. We see the Dallas Stars pennant in the background. You're a huge Stars fan. We've seen across the quizzes too. Is that something?
Oh yeah, now I know.
From like youth, or was that something you started when you started to enjoy sports more?
So my dad, when I grew up, my dad was he was a Minnesota. So my dad grew up. Sorry, he was a Minnesota North Stars fan, and then he switched over to Dallas when they made the switch. And the two teams he basically tried to. My dad doesn't like the Leafs. I watched the Leafs basically growing up though, because we didn't have streaming and stuff like that. So the only thing I had access to really was what was on TV, and it was always Leaf games. And just like seeing the city, like the buzz that the team doing well brings to it, I like seeing that too. But he always tried to get me to be a Vikings fan and a Stars fan. And I didn't bite on the Vikings fan, but I bit on the Stars fan. Although I did cheer for the Leafs a little bit as a kid, just because being around all my friends and just being around, and I couldn't watch Stars games. But yeah, it's been, I'd say around like 98 is when I got into the Stars, and it's just been since then, really.
And they won the year later.
Yeah, like my first memory of watching hockey is the Red Wings back-to-back Stanley Cups, and then I was hoping for a Leafs Stars Stanley Cup final that year, but
that would have been cool
because it was so close, and that was like the only time it would probably really happen. So yeah, I was hoping for that, and then once it was Stars and Stars
Sabres,
Buffalo, I was like,
we're Stars Sabres.
I will gladly cheer on the Stars. So I was still young at the time, so I wasn't fully decided on which team. So at that point, I'm like, yeah, Stars it is.
You see, I'm the complete opposite with my dad. My dad's a Habs fan and a Buccaneers fan. So
okay.
I didn't bid on the Habs because we're not gonna because they're not doing too well, but they'll pick it up eventually. But I bid on the Bucks, so now I'm a Bucks fan and a Caps fan. So it's
okay.
You know the funny thing is, my dad is a Leafs and Steelers fan. I bet on none of those. I think I went to like Habs, and I think I still made my mind, but one of the teams that's up there is Ravens, so I'll go with it.
Nice. I'm an Eagles fan, but it's a good year right now. If there's football, not a bad time.
If that's the question.
Yeah, it's a good time now with you got Brady now and Gronk coming over to Tampa, and that could be pretty nice. And the Ravens obviously are sweet right now, so
doing well.
We all got some good football teams. Hopefully it's a season.
Here's a quick question. I remember people asking about this in the video the first quiz they did virtually. Where the heck did you get the banner? I think a lot of people. I think I want to know where the heck did you get it.
Honestly, I remember Corwin saying that, and I don't even really know. it was a gift when I was younger, and I've just had it, and I never really had it up there too. I just had it kind of like in the backside of my room, just like chilling. And then now that we've been doing like the Zooms and all that like FaceTime stuff, I was like, might as well use it in the background. So honestly, I could not tell you an actual place or website or anything where the banner came from, because it was a gift, but it was like 10 years ago I got it. I know they had a bunch of teams though, like because my
there was
buddy
one of
got it.
the yeah. I think Coors Light did a ton of those at one point too.
Yeah,
So they
something
had like
yeah, they're just like massive banners. I know my buddy's got like a Leafs one too, and it's very similar. So yeah, I'm not sure where it came from, but I would like to know that question though too, because I'd like to see.
I know they have. Yeah, I know they. I know. I think a few years ago, Upper Deck. It was like 10 years ago. Upper Deck produced this for the Habs Centennial year, like the mini banners.
Yeah,
and I thought, oh, that's easy. They're probably like $1 or $2. If I thrown them up across like a wall or something, that'd be cool. The only problem is they're like hundreds of dollars, and they're apparently rare. So
wow, that
was fun.
That not worth it for for the small thing.
Yeah, it's like it's tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it's like an Upper Deck like giveaway too type of thing where
Upper Deck,
like you said.
Yeah. All right. So moving into, of course, you're talking about Stars, and I'm wearing a Stars jersey. What Star? We also talked about this off stream too. What Stars jersey do you think is your favorite, and why?
I think that one is the one you're rocking, the green one.
Yeah.
I recently got a white version of that one. I love both the green and the white, but that green one, especially with like the name and numbering, like the lettering that they had for it.
Yeah.
I think it might be my favorite one, but I think my backup. I know I got the Mooterist too that we really like to rock on Bardown.
Mooterist, yeah.
I don't know if that's my top two, because with the recent one, I've got one here actually. I'll bring it over. This one definitely moved on up with this release. I love this jersey, and I recently got these ones, and I think that one and the one you're rocking are easily my top two Stars jerseys.
Also, for me, I feel like I feel like people like hate on this jersey a lot. I love the jersey that just said Dallas on it because it looked like a college jersey. That's the jersey I first remember about the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks really, really good in my opinion. It's just boring.
That one might be my least favorite one out of all the Stars jerseys, but I have one. I have a Brad Richards, one of those ones. They definitely look a lot better in person, I'd say, with like the stitching and everything. But there's nothing. I don't absolutely hate them. Like when I say like they're my least favorite, I don't mean like I hate the jersey, because it does have a cool little appeal to it, like you said, like the whole college feel and all that. And like I love the black jersey and all that and everything too. It's
the black one's way better than the white.
Mm-hmm. It's a clean look, and they use that logo too for the sides, for the shoulder patch. So. It's not the worst jersey, but I think that one might be my least favorite one.
It's like, it's very boring. It's a very boring jersey.
Yeah.
And also this is a controversial topic, but for this jersey, since you mentioned your favorite, the Star one, do you think they should switch back to it?
Oh, 100%. When they made the change, I was so bummed. Like I've not recently, I guess over like the first year, it grew on me just watching. I'm like, no, those are sharp jerseys, and like I do love them now. Like they do look unreal. I like the white ones, I think, better than the green ones though. But I'm 100% on the side where they should not have changed their logo or jerseys, and they should definitely go back to those full time. And I would definitely support that 100%.
Oh yeah. Now you probably can't tell already. I'm a huge jersey collector. I've got a ton in that closet there, and I have one that I'm trying to get stand of. And also now, what jersey is your favorite of all time? And I think I may know what it is. I probably don't have it.
Favorite?
I think I may know what it is.
Like I have a little bit of bias, like towards the one you're wearing, the Stars jersey, just because
of course.
Stars. But I honestly think the way I look at that is like being a Stars fan and just in general, what's the one jersey I would no problem go and spend money on if I had the opportunity? They're all in front of me. And I honestly think it would be the Phoenix Coyotes Kachina jersey.
Oh, wow.
I honestly think
I thought you would have.
what
I thought you would have said the. I thought you would have said the mustard jersey because I remember you saying you loved that jersey at one point.
I do like that jersey. I definitely like that jersey.
Yeah, that
I don't know
weird
if it would be my
mustard
all
dopey
time.
cat one.
Yeah, the dopey cat, as the guys like to call him.
Yeah,
I love the Mighty Ducks jersey too from the
I
90s.
have one. Give me a second. I actually have one.
The
It's in
first
here
jersey I
somewhere.
ever got was the Mighty Ducks one, and I don't know what happened to it. I don't have it anymore. Yeah, like that. I
I've
love
worn
the
it in a
logo.
few. Oh yeah, it's a Fanatic, so I mean the logo quality's crap, but I still have it and I love it.
No, I love the logo. It's a solid logo. But yeah, I think the one jersey I would have no problem. That's not a Stars jersey going out and buying it'd be a Kachina jersey. I think that's
Yeah.
my favorite jersey. There's just something about it. Maybe it's just like the nostalgia feel for it too. But
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. What about you guys? What's your favorite jersey?
You see, I'm not a big jersey collector, so I'm biased toward the Caps. Same thing.
Oh, I'm a huge
Matthew
jersey collector.
I'm sure Matthew will go on, so I'll let him take it on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've got one.
I have a
sweet jersey.
Yeah.
You know what though too?
I bought this.
The Capitals, the old one, like Ovi's rookie days, like
Yeah, the Screaming Eagle. Why don't they bring those back? It drives me crazy why they don't bring those back.
That one, and even the black jersey with was it the? Oh, I got it right. I got a bobblehead here. This jersey, even this jersey.
That's
the Capitals years. Like
the Screaming Eagle one. Yeah, the one when Kolzig was in his prime. Yeah, those years.
Yeah, I like the Washington Capitals jersey catalog. Like front to back is pretty solid.
Now, in my opinion, I think they should. In my opinion, I don't know about you, Braden. I think that I'm on the side that they should just totally redesign it or go with their classic jerseys because to me, their jerseys seem too much like a Reebok jersey. And same with Boston. Their jerseys just seem too Reebok-ish for my taste. And I feel like they should just switch back.
What do you think as a Caps fan?
I think they stick with what's working. Like the alternates should definitely be their homes. I think the alternates are the best ones, but they should definitely switch that to home and away.
Oh yeah,
maybe keep the other ones for alternate, but I don't think they should change anything. I think the past is when they sucked, so they shouldn't change anything because that'll go back to bottom of the league, which I don't want.
Yeah, that's fair. I remember when the Capitals changed, and I wasn't on board at first just because I liked what they had, but just the way like they've just the way that they've branded the image of like just Ovi in general too, and just that team now, like it's given the jersey a much better look. I feel too than it definitely had an unsuccessful team would have made the jersey look like. But yeah, I definitely like the Capitals jersey catalog front to back.
And besides hockey now, we see a lot of different sports and hats behind you with like Hornets, Giants, all this kind of stuff. Do you follow all sports like NBA? Because we've seen a lot involve you in the NBA too.
Yeah, I follow basically the big four. I follow the NFL and NBA, MLB, NHL, and then I'd say aside from that, like I do follow everything like in terms of news wise, like F1, lacrosse, CFL, all that. I pay attention to all that just in general. I think it's just more so being my job and just being on top of those type of things. But in terms of actually like if it comes to fantasy or actually watching things, it's more so the big four. And I don't mind turning on the CFL too in the summertime. Like it's a good summer feel, summer vibe. And I've covered a bunch of that too for TSN, and like being at like the games that aren't in Toronto is actually really unreal and like a cool atmosphere. But yeah, so I follow everything. I think the Eagles and football, it's more so just the Eagles in general are definitely the team I'm most passionate about outside of hockey. But then the Raptors and basketball is the one sport that I would watch. I turn it on and watch like any game that's going on basically. Baseball, not so much. I like the Jays and I'll go to Jays games, but I'm not going to sit there and I don't think I'd watch a full 9-inning game on TV and just chill.
And now kind of more for analogy, and it is kind of your job. And now now the NHL has released like phase 2 or phase 3, whatever they're on. It's hard to catch up at this point. But who do you think, based on the format in the 2014 format, who has the advantage and who could potentially be the 2020 Stanley Cup champion?
Dallas Stars.
Dallas.
What else did you expect?
Yeah, Dallas. No, I don't know. Like, as much as they keep pushing it, I still have this like weird feeling that it's still not gonna fully happen, type of thing. I think it's just like, especially when numbers work in like 2 week spans with the COVID-19. So for what we know, in 2 weeks, that everything could be back another phase type of thing. And a lot of players too. I don't think it's fair to a lot of the players to be like, okay, even though you were just home this whole time, you got to now go play through your summer and into next year on short rest type of thing. But in terms of winning, I always have the biased thought towards Dallas. But I know earlier in the year when we were talking just in general, I think Tampa Bay has. I think they were like the year Washington helped come in when they went in. It was like everyone kind of stopped talking about Washington and gave up on being like, this is their year, this is their year. And I think people have given up on Tampa Bay like that. So that's why I kind of had that mentality that Tampa Bay was going to be the cup champions this year. So I would just still stick with that as just my pick still going into it. But yeah, it is interesting how they did come to terms with all of this and the teams. Who do you guys like for the reformat?
Although I do have a bias towards Montreal, and I know that people are hating on them, even though we were injured all year. I still have to say that I do feel Edmonton has an extremely easy schedule this year, facing off against a very old and slow Chicago team. And then they're probably going to face up against either Vegas or St. Louis or whatever, and they'll most likely just blow by them as well. I think maybe Edmonton could just waltz right in and take the whole thing.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, see, like we all have bias. I'm biased towards the Caps too. I think they're really solid going into the playoffs. So I don't really know at this point. But I thought that that Colorado has always been a good team. And I think they could pull it out if they stay healthy and if they continue to play as they were. But Philadelphia's kind of losing that thing too. They were also pretty hot going into the pause, but I don't think they're going to keep that. So
yeah, that's like news were rolling, and now you're sitting off like 3 months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Guys have not been working out the same, and everything's different. So, and it's gonna be like playing like the start of the.
We're gonna watch all the top seeds just drop like flies. It's just gonna be insane.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. If they do actually play, it'll definitely be interesting and to see how it all plays out. Yeah, I'm still a little bit weary on the whole thing, but if they get it set, then great. Hockey's back, and that just means to get to work through the summer of more hockey. So awesome. But yeah, I think we all have like we all said we have our biased picks, but anything could work out in terms of teams cooling off and not getting that time to just keep rolling into the playoffs like they were. And like Boston too, they were rolling. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see it all play out.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Oh no, thanks for having me, guys. It was awesome. Definitely like to come back anytime, bring the rest of the Bar Down gang, get a whole Zoom chat going.